The advertising strapline for the new Nissan Primera is, "It's a driver's car, so drive it." Blatant, direct, and a far cry from the bewildering slogan Nissan used in their Almira launch ads. In this case, Nissan desperately wants you to drive the new Primera, because although it looks very similar to the old, virtually every element of the car has been improved, and only by getting in it and taking it for a spin would you realise this. It's bigger, safer, more ergonomic, and with handling that makes it a joy to drive. You're looking at a car which should be taken very seriously indeed.
Part of the design brief with this car was that you could drive 1,000 kilometres, get out of it, have a cup of tea and feel as if you'd just been round the corner to the local shop. So it's that sort of driving experience. In terms of the research, we've researched in terms of colour and trim, looking at more modern trends, moving away from many of the whites, the greys, the blues, and you see behind me one of our grabber colours, bronze, which we think will also attract people. Internally, we've spent a lot of time looking at the way the fascia's laid out to make it more like a cockpit feel, as if you were flying a 737, something like that. So that'll also appeal to many of the people who are going to drive the car.
The research showed us a lot of interesting facts, things that European customers find important. For instance, on the old Primera we had an internal boot release. On the new Primera we have a release with a button in the tailgate. And we found that was particularly important for people with supermarket trolleys as they approach cars. We actually spent an awful lot of time in car parks, at supermarkets or at railway stations or at airports, actually watching what people did and then interviewing people and finding what kind of loads went into the vehicle. The handling clearly is the most important facet of the car. And there are other interesting facets. For instance, the security is quite superb. We have a professional thief. He's actually an engineer that spent an awful lot of time training on how to steal cars, and we believe we've got a class-leading car from a security angle. The headlamps in particular we did an awful lot of work on. Actually, we deliver 70% more light than the previous vehicle by using a complex surface reflector.
The new Primera has a completely revised chassis, with all multi-link suspension, including Nissan's multi-link EAM system at the rear, as found in the QX and Skyline. It has more interior space, particularly in the rear seats, more luggage space and improved luggage access. It's the most important new car that Nissan will launch in Europe before the turn of the century, and it will compete in the highly competitive D segment of the market.
Our main rivals will really be the Ford Mondeo, the Vauxhall Vectra, the Peugeot 406. We see them as the vehicles that are driven by our target customer, the user chooser, the company rep, that sort of guy. Where we're going to win is very much on the driving experience. This is the best driver's car in the segment. Once we get people to drive it and they appreciate that, they won't want to drive any other car.
Now, with that statement, they're dismissing the Mondeo, the 406, the Passat, and even the BMW Series 3. Steve Fowler, from what car you've been driving, it's a come on, have Nissan put their money where their mouth is with this?
Very much so, yeah. It's an absolutely cracking drive. But it's more than that as well. It's a great family car. It's got plenty of space. Get a 3-year warranty with it. Get a choice of a hatch or a saloon. And all that combined with the driving ability, which is really very, very good indeed. It's a great car.
At first glance, Steve, let's face it, it doesn't look that different from the old model. And they took a huge gamble with the Micra and produced something really quite unusual. Why is the styling on this so bland? Well,
it's a very conservative market. Vauxhall came in for a lot of criticism last year when it introduced the Vectra, with people saying it's far too similar to the Cavalier, the car it replaced. So there is a lot of conservatism, but we do think there's a bit of room for a bit of excitement there. And Nissan really should have done a little bit better with the styling, because let's be honest, that's the main thing that lets this car down.
They've certainly not taken the gamble they did with the Micra. The styling is quite bland on it, isn't it?
Yeah, no risks at all. A little disappointing, although the model we've got here, the SI, is probably one of the better ones, because it's got a spoiler and some nice alloy wheels and things like that.
Yeah,
so
a few extras on there.
It does break it up slightly, but the overall impression, unfortunately, is of blandness.
I find it hard to believe that Nissan have actually spent quite a lot of time researching in all the European style centres to get this vehicle right.
Yeah.
Because you wonder what's happening in style in general if this is the best they could come up with.
That's right. Well, as we said, you've got to be very conservative in this market. People don't want radical designs, and it's easier to play safe than it is to do something like Ford did back in the 80s when they introduced the Sierra with its jelly mould. It took quite a long while for customers to get used to that look.
But forgetting the look, it's on the road where the Primera scores.
Well, really, the sharpness of the steering is very good indeed. They've upgraded the engines. There's only a 1.6 and a 2 litre, which might count against Nissan because the fleet market tends to like a 1.8. But the engines, they do have a very good, tremendous amount of power, and at motorway speeds they're very refined as well. The old Primera was very good to drive, but this is even better. The steering's sharp, it's got some good engines inside, so there's plenty of performance, and it holds the road extremely well. It's great fun to drive.
And it's the car of the future?
Well, we don't know about being the car of the future. It's such a hotly contested market. A year ago we would have said something like the Citroën Xantia or Renault Laguna, or the Ford Mondeo might have been the pick. Last year the Vauxhall Vectra came along, that beat the lot of them. Then the 406, Peugeot's 406 came along, that went to the top of the class. Now you've got this, which is right at the top of the class with everything else, and coming soon after this you've got a new Ford Mondeo and a Volkswagen Passat, so it's hot competition out there.
So as they say, watch this space.
Indeed, yeah.
As the new Primera starts to roll off the production lines in Sunderland, Nissan UK's manufacturing operation celebrates its 12th birthday. Since Mrs Thatcher opened the plant in 1986, Nissan has built 3 major models, including the Micra and the original Primera. The Sunderland plant has won many awards, including 3 successive Queen's Awards for export achievement, and it now employs over 4,000 people. Nissan is now Britain's biggest car exporter, building for 36 world markets. Nissan is putting a lot into the marketing of this new Primera to ensure that the mistakes of the original model's launch are not repeated.
The Primera in the old form was never properly launched. There were legal wranglings at the time between the previous distributor, Nissan UK, and our parent company, Nissan. That's now been resolved, and we reckon that the previous distributor underinvested in advertising to the tune of £11 million at launch. And you've got to really invest at launch for a successful launch. So that mistake will not happen. Our plans are significant. We're going to dominate the media towards the end of this year with our advertising stance, and that way give the car the start in life it deserves.